Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Journal podcast. This lunchtime special, we've got Goggsy, who's a Motherwell blogger, and we're going to be doing a review into Adam Devine and a quick chat about potentially him coming into the Rangers starting lineup in the future. Hi Goggsy, how you doing, mate? Welcome to the Rangers Journal.
I'm not bad. Thanks for having me. And that was a very professional intro you had there. Quite impressed.
No, thanks for coming on, mate. Thanks for coming on. It's greatly appreciated. So I just thought invited you on today just to have a wee chat about Adam Devine. Tell you a wee bit about us first. I'm a big shouter for Rangers youth products coming through academy and getting into the first team. I think it's something in terms of developing a pathway, a similar loan to what Adam Devine's done, going to yourselves, getting good first team football experience at a good level, playing for a good club like yourselves is potentially the way to go. Overall, how do you feel as if he's getting on?
I think if you were to ask me to give a number out of 10, I think it would be a 7 out of 10 so far. I don't think there's enough time in the second half of the season to properly take on what his qualities are. It's, for me, we've been so defensively frail in the first half of the season, and he has solidified the right back slot. He's provided Stephen O'Donnell with some really good competition, and I do feel a bit more comfortable with him on the pitch. I'm not going to lie, but I think his most recent performance on Saturday left a wee bit more to be desired because the whole team was just flat against St Mirren. But apart from that, I think overall he's been quite solid.
Quite solid. How has he given some stiff competition to Stephen O'Donnell? Obviously, Stephen O'Donnell's a Scotland internationalist. He's been with yourselves a good few years now. Is he getting him a good run for his money?
I'd say yes and no. Stephen O'Donnell is chalk and cheese. He does get a lot of unwarranted criticism, and it's usually a lot of people from outside the Motherwell camp that do give him a lot of stick. And obviously, he was never rated to be an international standard player because he played at Kilmarnock, Motherwell, etc. But I do think that. I've been critical of him recently as well, but in the last few weeks he's been really solid. But he's been pushed more over to the right centre back position because it's to facilitate Adam Devine's performances. And I'd say, I'm not sure. Adam Devine played 60-70 minutes on Saturday just there. He didn't play anywhere near his best. That he has for us, but I do think that Adam Devine is probably going to excel in a Rangers shirt once he does fill that void that Tavernier leaves whenever he does.
See, in terms of squad status for Motherwell, where would you say Adam Devine is at this minute? Is he on the peripheries? Is he a starter?
I would say he's a starter. He's definitely good enough to be a starter, in my opinion. I mean, he's shown he's put in some good performances when he did finally break into the starting 11. Because I think it took about a month for him to properly do that, and then he got a goal at Pittodrie in a game in which we should have completely swept aside lacklustre Aberdeen, but then we decided to let them back into the game, draw 3 each. But I'd say that was his best performance for us, and he's done, I'd say, quite a good job considering he's been chucked into a squad in which we were on the back of a match run of 15 without a win. And he's come in, he's put in some good performances, and he's alleviated his position as a Scotland under 21 right back, and I do think that there is a future for him at Rangers.
See, in terms of Stuart Kettlewell, the Motherwell manager, has he impressed you in terms of obviously the emergence of Lennon Miller? I don't think there's much work it needs to go into Lennon Miller in terms of all you need to really do is give the boy first team football and let him develop himself. He's a quality prospect. But in terms of other prospects that have come through Motherwell, have you seen anything with Stuart Kettlewell that makes you think that you've got maybe a wee bit of a specialist and a manager when it comes to developing youth?
I think so. Like, Kettlewell's been under a lot of stick recently because like he doesn't really like to change information in game. Like he does a lot of like for like substitutions. And of course Lennon Miller has been fantastic for us this season when he's been playing, but he's been unfortunate with injuries. But in the games that he has played, like he has shown that he does have that quality. And like the kid's only 17. Like I can't believe I'm saying that, but like I'm just thinking when I was 17, you know, I was just going about the country watching football, not playing it, and it's really strange to think that he is only 17 and he plays like a 24-year-old, because he has that swagger, he has got that skill that I've only seen, I think, David Turnbull possess as a youngster, and I do think Lennon Miller may go for a bit more than what David Turnbull went for to Celtic, but that's only if he gets a contract extension. But as for Kettlewell, I do think that he has been very good at spotting young players. For example, Georgie Gent, we got on loan from Blackburn Rovers, and his teammate Jack Vale as well, who've both come up from Blackburn. And I thought Jack Vale was very good against Rangers at Ibrox a few weeks ago, and he certainly did put himself about. He absolutely bodied John Suter for the first goal. And I mean, we have quite a few players that are quite young that I'm afraid to say that we're not going to see much more of, because like we're on the fringes of what's going to be another summer clear out.
See, in terms of just nipping back to Lennon Miller for a wee minute, you mentioned a potential contract extension. What sort of fee do you think you guys will be looking for? I'm only asking, I know this is an Adam Devine loan review, but
yeah,
those fans will be interested to hear your thoughts on how much kind of Motherwell. What's the situation with him at Motherwell just now?
Well, I think he's contracted till 2025.
Right.
That's off the top of my head. For me, I'm not going to, like, if I'm Motherwell, I'm not going to accept anything less than 3 million for him. But if it's to a club in the same league, I wouldn't accept for anything less than 5 million. Because, like, you've got to take into account this guy's going to be playing against us, probably scoring against us as well, knowing our luck. So, like, when you take into account it's a team in the same league, like, see when we sold David Turnbull, I was raging we only sold him for 3 million, because we could, like, on another day, like, when you take into the evolution of the football market, yes, Scotland's not very valuable as a league. We're not a major league, all things concerned. But with a player like David Turnbull, for example, like, I rated his talent so highly that 5 million I thought would have been a fair assessment of what he was worth. And unfortunately, he was misused at Celtic, and he was only sold to Cardiff for like 2 million. But as for Lennon Miller, obviously he's younger. Like, he's already broken into the first team. I think David Turnbull was a year later, career-wise, to break into the Motherwell first team. So you never know. Like, there's been big clubs sniffing about him. 3.5 million, I'd say, is a fair amount, considering there's probably only a year left in his contract after the summer.
I would need to agree with you. That's more than a realistic price. The boy's got a really, really good low sense of gravity.
Yeah.
Very, very good the way ball his feet's good on the turn. He's got an eye for a goal. He's got an eye for a pass. He doesn't shirk a challenge either. I mean, he's
fearless.
He's got a wee bit of everything, and there's not really been many prospects coming out in Scottish football, maybe the last 2-3 years, but the likes of Lennon Miller and David Watson at Kilmarnock give us a wee bit of hope going forward. back to Adam Devine. What's his stats and stuff kind of coming up at? Is he really making an impact on a match, or is he just a kind of steady performer to yourself?
I'd say he's a steady performer. Like he's not the type that will decide a game, but he's the type of player that you don't really notice until he makes a mistake, and if he's not playing, you notice he's not playing. I think is the best way to describe it. He's one of those like solid 6 or 7s out of 10 that you'll get every week. That is not going to cause absolute scenes every week, but he's going to be solid. He's going to put in a really good performance. And although he may have been a wee bit timid because it was a wee while since he'd kicked the ball on Saturday, because I don't know how much time he got away with the under-21s, but I do think that like when he gets back to regularly playing, for example, we've got Dundee away and then Hibs at home to finish before the split. I think if he's back playing regularly and we don't shuffle the pack again, I do think that he's going to put in some really good performances over the next couple of weeks.
Can you see any sort of aspects to his game that are going to be kind of hashed out while he's at Motherwell getting first team football? Is there anything sort of, I know you're saying that he can kind of disappear in matches, but is there anything that's kind of standing out to you that he's making error-wise, or anything he's specifically really good at? Or
I think one of the things is that he's come to Motherwell to sort of beef up, like because we're a physical team. I think what Clement was probably wanting was for him to get more physical, because that's the first thing I noticed about him. Like when he arrived, like he seemed, I don't know if lightweight's the right word, but he did seem that he wasn't filling out like, for example, our other wide backs do. But after seeing him play a few times, or every time he has played for us, I'm quite content with how he's played for us.
Yeah, that's good. But he's, I think the only time I've watched him since he's went to Motherwell this season is the cup tie at Morton. How did he? I
know. that was probably the worst game to ever watch for us. If you're a neutral or non-Motherwell fan, and you're wanting to watch Motherwell play at Morton and all, that was that was a bad night for everyone.
Morton are my local team, so I had them on the BBC that night, and I was watching on, but I was watching on with a keen interest when Devine came on. He seems to have a good engine getting up and down the park.
He does, yes. He was actually a main factor in our goal that we scored, because I think it was the first proper move that we'd done all game, and it took us like 84 minutes. And it just summed up, like, I mean, the potential of us having a cup run. Like, it's always been made out, and all the off-the-field stuff that we've done this season, for example, that promotional video at the start of the 2024, and making a big thing about, a cup run this, a cup run that, and then to go and lose to a team in the lower division is just peak Motherwell.
What else was I going to ask you? See, in terms of his defensive capabilities, I noticed, I also watched his performance against Dyson Maeda against Celtic recently at Fir Park. Yeah. And I've got to say, there's no many right backs in the country that have kept Maeda quiet. Obviously, Maeda still sort of influenced the game at certain stages, but kind of Devine stood up all right against him. I don't think he looked out of place.
No, he definitely didn't. Like, he did keep Maeda very quiet, and unfortunately, it was down to the fact that us losing that game was because we just switched off at the key moments. Like, we just sat back in the second half after really taking the game to Celtic in the first, and like, we should have been 2 or 3-0 up at half time. And again, peak Motherwell just sitting off them, allowing them to just waltz into our half and just allowing all the pressure. And like, if you're going to do that against Celtic, like, there's only a matter of time before you're going to concede. And unfortunately, it was within the first 5 minutes, and there was only one winner after that, because like the key to beating Celtic or Rangers, like as you saw probably yourself the other week, was to just go at them, be relentless, step on their toes, and frustrate the life out of them. And I mean, thankfully we did that against you, but I loved it if we did it against Celtic as well.
Aye. Where would you? Again, I'm going to get back to Maeda a minute, because I think that's the kind of the tallest standard I could probably set for Devine currently. What would you rate his performance out of 10 against Maeda? How well do you think he done?
Well, basing on the first half, I'd probably say a 7.5 out of 10. I thought defensively we were very good in the first half that game, and that raises everyone's performance up. But because of how poorly we defended in the second half, although we were probably trying to just consolidate the lead and maybe hit them on the counter, like that takes off a couple of points instantly, because like you completely changed the attitude of the team. And unfortunately that doesn't go to any individual performance. That's just how it is. Like, being critical of my own team, like I'd say probably a 6.5 for the full 90, or for as long as he played, because I think he got subbed in that game.
I think it came on for Stephen O'Donnell at one point. No, sorry, I think he went off for Stephen O'Donnell.
Yeah.
He went off when it was drawn, and then obviously
and then
injury time. It's just
and that was the day that I got criticised for pointing at Stephen O'Donnell was watching his man score from like 5 yards out. But that, like, I think we were trying to chase the game, and then just everyone coming back, and then the third goal goes in, and the game was just beyond savable from that.
Just sort of last question on Devine. Do you think he would benefit from another year at Motherwell next season?
Yes.
Would you like to have him back again?
I would love to have him back. To have him for a whole season, that would be beneficial for us, because we are losing probably 85% of our squad next year, because everyone's out of contract, which is badly managed in my opinion. We're going to be losing the likes of Callum Slattery. Theo Bear's still on for another year, but I'm annoyed that we're going to be losing Slattery. He's been injured since the turn of the year. Spittle's, of course, going to Hearts. You've got the main core of the defence. It's going to be a worrying off-season, in my opinion. It's got to be up to us to actually go out and do the business like Hearts have done early, which is probably going to consolidate Hearts finishing third again next season. But we're going to be probably waiting until the very last minute to finalize our squad, and I'm not very happy about that, but that's just the way it is.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, mate. That was it was a good to get a wee insight into how.
No problem. Hopefully, I answered all your questions properly.
No, you did. You definitely did, mate. Is there anywhere people can find you?
On the screen, as you can see, Goggsy99 on YouTube, or on Twitter at Goggsy99, or Instagram at GoggsySan. But thank you very much for having me, Scott.
No, no problem. Thanks again for coming on. Hopefully we can have another chat at the end of the season if Devine's going to get back over.
And hopefully if we win both of our remaining matches and Dundee and Hibs lose all of their matches, then we will be in the top 6.
I hope not. I hope not. Great, mate. Thanks for the chat.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hello everybody, this is us on just to get through our interview there. Dean, what did you think? Has it changed your opinion on Devine at all? Has it affected anything?
No, and personally, I think he's been that type of player. Every time I've saw him play for us, albeit right back or even when he's filled in at left back, steady, run of the mill, 6 and 6, 7 out of 10. That's kind of how I expected him to be, but it's good to hear that he is keeping now the man right in saying that O'Donnell's the Motherwell captain.
Aye.
So he's I mean, not just the fact that he's an international player for Scotland, he's also the captain that Devine's, keeping out the team and giving him competition. So that just shows you the levels of ability that Adam Devine has.
Aye, definitely, mate, definitely. What's your thoughts on Devine when he comes back? Where do we go with him next season?
Well, next season, I think everybody's saying, is Tav going to stay, is Tav going to go? Two sides of the coin. If we receive an offer in the summer for Tav that's, a good offer, we're going to be accepting it, because everybody unfortunately has a value that we'll accept. But if Tav stays, I do think that managing Tav in terms of what games he does play and how many minutes and games that he does play, a lot better given he's 32, getting on in football years, so to speak. So I would like to see Devine come in and, be the man to fill in at right back, or come on when it's 60, 70 minutes gone and there's no need for Tav being on the pitch. That's kind of where I want to see him next season. I would love to see him playing a lot more football for us, and we're going to be, as I said, previous pods, we're going to be losing guys that tick the homegrown box for European qualifications. So he ticks that box, and he's playing. He's playing to a good standard in the SPL. So that's where I want to see him.
What's your thoughts on on Motherwell as a potential loan destination for our players?
I really do see that as a good sort of, not affiliation is not the right word, but a good sort of team to build a relationship with. As Goggsy touched on there, the young boy that was up front for them against us coming up, and obviously in young Lennon Miller getting the game, and Kettlewell's obviously building that reputation of wanting to play the youngsters. And if he's happy enough to have B team players or players on the fringes of the first team squad going there and getting consistent minutes, then I'm all for that. That's the kind of thing we've probably been crying out for a long time now.
Definitely. I think it would help bridge a gap between the B team and the first team if we could just send my players to a decent level of football. And if you're playing in the SPFL, and Motherwell's a decent standard within the league, I would say they're kind of mid-table. They always have been. I would say if you excel at a club like that, then you've got a chance. Do you know what I mean? You've definitely got a chance when you come back to Rangers. Whereas if you go and kind of not fail, but if you don't go and have the greatest loan period, then you kind of need to sit down and have a look, because these guys have been tested at kind of our standard, if that makes any sense. Do you think another loan next year would benefit him?
Well, it definitely would if he's not going to get the required sort of first team minutes next season. In terms of playing every week, but we need to look at it from a point of view of, is that going to be beneficial to our squad? Is him being back up right back going to be, because it's matter of fact that it's got to, it's a whole as a squad that we've got to look at what's best interest within the best interest even. So if it is within the best interests of him going on loan all round, then if that's going to be, if Sterling's going to be the man to fill in at right back, but I've got a funny feeling that Sterling might be getting used further forward in the pitch, and him and Tav being on the pitch at the same time. So got to look at it like that as well, that perspective. So it's a bit of a tricky one, because I want to see the lad do well, and I want to see him being in the Rangers squad for a good period of time, and show that there is a path for these younger players, because a lot of these younger players, they haven't really seen much happening with terms of players making that jump from the B team to the first team of years gone by. So it's a bit of a tricky one, but I would like to see him definitely stay and give Tav more rest and utilise him to full capacity when he's going to be, you know, invaluable in games. Because there is times that you think, you know, there could be him coming off the pitch, or games that you're like, well, we're probably going to win this relatively easy. He can just have a day on the sidelines, and you know, and we can be playing Adam Devine, who can maybe get 20, 25 games a season. It was a kind of similar scenario with Nathan Patterson.
Aye.
A lot of fans were wanting Nathan Patterson to play more games and for Tav to play less because of that reason I just mentioned. So, and I'm not saying Adam Devine's at the same levels as Nathan Patterson, because you know, Nathan Patterson was brilliant, but it's the comparisons there for how us fans view what we want from the squad.
I definitely. I think part of the most kind of thing I learned for Goggsy's part of the interview was when he says that what he noticed Devine was quite lean physically. I think the gym at Motherwell is going to help him. I think the physicality of the league's going to help him. I think it does need to kind of beef up a wee bit, doesn't it?
It does, especially in our league. And I mean, you see when Motherwell came to Ibrox, the bullied us, didn't they? So, so there's obviously something to do with their training and whatnot. So yeah, him being lean, and I mean, I didn't see what you were going on about against Maeda, but Maeda's quite a strong big guy, isn't he? And he was getting the better of him. So that's a sign that he is obviously improving in that department. So yeah, long may that continue as far as I'm concerned.
I'm just kind of looking up some stats on him just now. So he's had 8 appearances in a Rangers shirt. He's 21-year-old. He had a loan spell at Brecon in 2021. He made 11 appearances. And now in 2024, he's made 5 appearances for Motherwell. He's had 4 appearances for Scotland under 21s. He was capped at under 19s, under 17s, under 16s level. There's not many sort of appearances in there. That's making me think that another loan next year would probably, if he can go somewhere where he's going to be the first choice right back, because he's not done his any harm with his performances at Motherwell. So I think if he could go back there, and if Tav stays, that as if Tav stays. I think personally, if a club come in with Saudi, if a club come in from Saudi for Tav, I think the club will accept the offer because it'll be too much money. Not that I want them to accept it, but depending on Tav, I would probably put him on loan again next season.
Well, again, you might be, as I said, Tav come. Everybody's got a price tag. Tav goes. You've got, and Devine's going to be relied upon. I know he's been in and out of the team, and that Brecon and captain of the under 16, 17, 19s, did you just say? So he's that, although that kind of doesn't really mean much, but it does mean something to an extent that he is obviously a player of that's you know, highly thought of in terms of the international youth side. So him going on loan would, you know, as I said, might be of benefit to the squad as a whole. And I just don't want us to be in a position where we don't have a capable right back to come in. Touch wood, but say Tav gets an injury and he's out for the length of time that he was out 2 or 3 years ago. I think he got injured in Europe and he was out. And Nathan Patterson came in, and I mean, filled the void better than anybody probably would have anticipated. But if he was in there, we were kind of going to be up shit creek without a paddle, weren't we, in terms of right back? So I don't want us to be in that position again if that happens, because Tav is playing 60 games a season, and this is his ninth season at Rangers. His ninth season, do you know what I mean? So the body everybody's body has a point that starts maybe to say no. So there might be wee niggles coming in here and there with Tav next season, given his age and given his durability. So I didn't want us to be in a position where we don't have a right back to fill in. But as I said, Sterling will hopefully still be a part of the squad next season. So that, that might fall upon him. But as I said, I think he's maybe going to be used further forward, going into how he's played for us anyway.
Aye, definitely. Right, mate. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll just finish up here. I think that was a good kind of overall chat. I certainly learned a wee bit more about Adam Devine as a player. I think the loan move at Motherwell's benefiting him greatly. I don't think he's doing himself any harm for when he comes back to Rangers. So it'll be interesting to see where Phil Clement sees him these plans in the summer.
Aye, definitely, mate. Definitely. Thanks for inviting me on. It's been a pleasure and privilege as usual, mate.
No problem, pal. Right, everybody, tune in for the pod on Friday at 7:30.